still sort of going through. So yeah, I'll check that to see if he wrote or if, what's his name?
I can't remember.
You can't remember. Okay, no worries. So I'll check if it's written, we'll see it and we'll respond.
Okay.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Mercy.
Hello.
Hey, Mercy. Really quick, everyone. I just wanted to do it before I forgot, since I dropped the ball last time. I did hit the record button. If anybody has a problem with that, we will cut it off right now. But just wanted to make sure everyone is aware and do that so that I didn't forget again. Any concerns though with having this call recorded?
None.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so Mercy, you want to give us the quick overview on what we're going to be chatting about today?
So basically, we just, I can see that the time is far gone, and we sort of wanted to, we want to limit it to an hour. So originally, we're thinking that we will sort of, have a discussion regarding registration. And then we also thinking that we could also have some discussions regarding proposals, like if there anybody here that put in a proposal for Fund 4. I think that this would be a good time, what are we anticipating? How do we, get the vote out, right? How do we get people to register? Maybe have that discussion. And yeah, if anybody wants to sort of share what work they are doing, we're thinking that we'll do that as well. But most of all, I think that we want to keep this open, within the 20 or so minutes that we have. If we can keep this open, whatever we want to talk about. So maybe, Mike, do you think that would be a good idea to sort of do a roundtable in terms of what people want to talk about, and then we'll keep it short and sweet?
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at everyone here, I'm thinking, are there questions on voting? Do we want to maybe, I think we were hoping for maybe having a couple people that could maybe use some help. Anyone here that does have questions about voting, maybe just hit that one quickly, and then we can get into, like you said, a little more roundtable.
Yeah, sort of more registration, right? Like, like the whole registration period. I don't know how many of us are aware, but on Wednesday, we had our, the timeline for Fund 4 came out. So as we know, it was opened on Wednesday. It's going to close the 11th of June, which is next Friday. So that's when registration will complete. And then voting will start soon after. So yeah, so those are some of the things that we need to bear in mind. The registration will be closing just next Friday. So yeah, throwing it back to everyone. If there's, as Mike said, if there's any questions about registration and even voting, yeah, let's talk about that.
No, so far for me. I've already voted once, and I see that Dallas is being updated, so it should be the same process unless they change anything. I haven't seen the new update, but I don't think there will be anything. There is a voting menu on the left, and it's quite easy to follow.
I'm basically just interested to hear about the WADA and how do you operate. I know really almost nothing about it, and I just want to understand how it is going and how you find people. I mean, which country are you operating in, you yourself, and then the rest of the team and things like that?
Okay. Does everyone want to hear about that, or is there any dissension regarding that?
Yeah, I myself am in contact with Megan, and
yes.
I don't know the whole team.
All
Megan
right.
and there's one
Cardano
other
citizen.
person.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
I'm
mentioned you
trying
yesterday.
Yeah, so I'm literally here to do research, because I'm like is it Philip? I'm like Philip. I don't honestly know a ton about what's going on in WADA. What your overall? I think you have multiple proposals over multiple funds. So it's not like I'm keeping track of these like some kind of detective or something like that, right? So you know what I mean? Where they'd be like, well, first they start over here and then they ended up over here. I don't know the sequence. I don't know anything like that. And so I'm literally here to do research that I can ask people like Megan and whomever for the show.
Okay.
And
A little bit
Why not?
selfish, I guess, is my is my motivation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Nori, we got acquainted last week. He's an indigenous person. We are very honored to have him here. He feels very inspired with the work that WADA is doing. And yeah, we're hoping that we will be able to collaborate in future. So the reason that I'm mentioning Nori is that he also has a little part of the WADA puzzle, as well as John T. I'll get him to speak very soon, as well as James, as well as Mike. So I'm going to say, whatever I can say. And then, for those that are looking for more information, I'm hoping that, we will be able to paint a sort of a complete picture for everyone. So I'm going to start. So basically, WADA started with, about 2 of us. It went to 4, but we've always believed that we are part of the Cardano ecosystem. So one of the reasons that I mentioned James is that he was one of the most original partners of WADA. As we know, with the work that Gimba Labs do, they are really very technical focused. They have a lot of expertise. And those are not necessarily some of the things that WADA has, right? So we are in strong partnership with Gimba Labs. In addition, we have a few partnerships outside of the Cardano ecosystem as well. Lately, we keep building capacity, and we are very thankful that we have Mike, who is actually trying to help us with project management. So our key focus is infrastructure, education, and obviously dApp creation. So, when we look at our mission in terms of how it relates to Cardano, it's that we are connecting entrepreneurs and software devs into the Cardano ecosystem, as well as, the distributed ledger technology as a whole. So basically that's what we're doing. But all of us here might know, some of us might have experienced it, that when it really comes to the continent, and even, like people who have traveled, like the diaspora, a lot of it has to do with, sort of some endemic barriers that we want to, we talk about reimagining stuff, but, sort of, getting the infrastructure down to the ground. So, electricity, internet, and stuff like that, the educational materials, access, outreach, and things like that. So to be more specific to what Philip is asking, right now we are active in Ivory Coast, in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Cameroon. Dallas mentioned Megan. So Megan, together with her husband, they are right now in Cameroon, and Jonty here is in a DRC. We are quickly spreading. We feel very grateful about that. So at a high level, I think that's what I would say about WADA. We think of ourselves as a network, basically. A network whereby, people, young people who have dreams, most of us, we're here because we believe the Cardano vision that this 4th industrial revolution is likely going to really accelerate in Africa, and it's like from a WADA perspective, we don't think that it's just, like Africans. It's just all those who see where Africa is, that it has that potential in terms of, all these young people, in terms of, our structures, the African structures are not really as entrenched as, say, Western structures. Like when we talk about identity, like there is basically throughout the continent, like there's no strong identity piece, whereby, like you talk of a place like Canada, as soon as, like you get into Canada, you have your ID, You have, like all these structures that is taken for granted in the West is really not in Africa. So those are the things that we see, blockchain, distributed ledger technology, Cardano, sort of, those are the problems that we see it being solved. And that is the reason that we believe that, okay, let's start in Africa and let's get it done in Africa. And if it can be done in Africa, then in a way, we can see that, oh yeah, it can spread to the rest of the world. So, or even not to spread to the rest of the world, but some of these big, powerful companies like Facebook and Amazon, like they will hopefully, they can also reimagine the way that they do stuff. So I don't want to go on and on. John T, do you want to say something about your WADA experience?
Yes. So basically, the way I joined WADA is when I looked at what Cardano was doing. First of all, in DRC, myself, I own a post-secondary institution, Institut Supérieur de Développement Rural de Grand Lac. We have around 3,000 students. I offer microfinancing through the Coopérative Agricole du Kivu to small farmers in the Masisi region. And also we have a radio which broadcasts the news about all the developmental issues we may face. So when I joined WADA is when I was trying to do a decentralized usage in Africa, in Congo, in DRC. Those students, first of all, the main goal I had was to help people transfer money. Money transfer was the first thing that got me into cryptocurrencies, because I was thinking that it should be easier to do with cryptocurrencies. It is still not easy, but we're kind of trying to make it happen, because we know how it can be done if we have funding, because the microfinance in Goma, for example, I'm already helping P2P money transfer using that method. Quite unpredictable with the rates, but it's doable. And for the moment, I was looking at the Cardano credential, this Prism in Ethiopia with the students. That's something will be very useful to us. For example, we're a private institution. So if we're able to certify our diplomas through the blockchain, on average, our schools get around maybe 40 emails per week to validate students that have gone in some other country or in looking for employment. And we have to track them and ask them for the enrollment numbers. Some have forgotten. So we kind of, if they were to be registered, then we wouldn't be sending those emails to start with. And through the microfinance, we also had an issue when we were raising the funds. We were looking for $1 million. $1 million is not much for the crypto space, but through friends in Africa to find $1 million, it takes you like 6 months, because everybody will bring 10, another one 5, and then somebody will leave the group. It may take you like a year to generate that amount of money. So cryptocurrencies, for me, I found it a way is to multiply those activities, because I've been through that process 4 times at least. So now I think with a cryptocurrency system, you can shorten the time and get that amount and pay those dividends, instead of the way we pay those dividends in our setups are just crazy. You give it to a cousin just because you cannot get it yourself. Like it's how it works. So that's how I got to join WADA, and my goal is to make things similar so that people adopt it quicker. So when people look at the same picture and they know it's the same brand, then they will join. That's why when I was trying to implement it in DRC, I say, well, you know what, I'm going to join WADA so that whatever standards they're using, whatever coins they're using, whatever system they're using, we may use the same thing so that our users will feel familiar using their own. So in school perspectives, it's already the case that we don't have the same standards. In DRC, we have 2 years, 3 years of first term, 2 years of 5 years to get a BA, whereas in Canada, for example, it's 4 years. So the systems are not the same. So once the system are becoming the same, we'll be using the system as more. So that's how I joined WADA. And I think that there are many young developers. As a business owner, I employ some developers locally to develop me some applications for the school. It's crazy how a school can use and not use technology. So we always change the system depending on which teacher, which students, or whatever they want to use. So we have a few developers who have been involved with, and that's why I was able to put them in contact also with WADA. And we hope that they're going to be trained and learn about blockchain, because they don't know much about blockchain. Yeah. So that's what I can say for my involvement.
Thanks so much, Jonty.
Thank you. That's so impressive. Like, so John, you are in DRC, right?
I'm presently in Canada, but I'm leaving in October. Usually, I'm a public servant in Canada, but we have sabbaticals. Usually, I take like a year to go and handle with the business. On one side, the money transfer, it's mostly for people who are here who send money from here to go to Congo. So that's why the little application is quite used. And on both ends, I have to have money in Canada and money in Congo. And the cryptocurrency is just to show people what is possible. But at the end of the day, it's very, very, very labor intensive. Yeah. It is still labor intensive.
The thing that I asked about, I was lucky to visit on a business trip. I went to Nigeria once, and I stayed a few days in Lagos waiting for my flight, and then I flew to Ilorin. I don't know if you know it. Ilorin is like a small city in Nigeria, and the factory was there, and I was working, and just like looking at the infrastructure there, you know, in Ilorin. Ilorin is a small place, and at the time there was national elections in Nigeria and people were getting shot and we had armed guards, and just like operating a blockchain community at that level seems above fascinating for me. So, you know, I saw that people I saw the will of the people, of Nigerian people. I've never been anywhere else in Africa. But I've seen people that have will and you know, they want to do things, but just the infrastructure and the abilities, like the basic necessities, are so limited. So it's just interesting to hear how, you know, you see the WADA Alliance webpage and it's very nice and everything is professional and it is comparable to any kind of European, Australian, American. But you know, my experience is when I go to Africa, it's really difficult. And I'm sure that, you know, like problems that we face, you know, in Europe are, you know, even negligible compared to some of the problems in Malawi, DRC, you know, countries that are, you know, poverty stricken, or it's just another level of issues. That's my view. So can you maybe say something about that?
Actually, I tried to contribute as much as I could because, again, as a business owner, I was able to show them the difficulties of establishing some hubs in some places, because I've experienced in East Africa, in Kenya, in Tanzania, East Africa in general, in Europe, in Africa in general, the difficulties are real. However, when you touch like small centers, or when you look at where people are connected, in one city, you may not have internet in the whole city, but you may have internet in a hotel, which itself has its own special connection, and they have the whole bandwidth of the city. The same for electricity. You may not have electricity in a neighborhood, but somebody who's well connected never saw a blackout.
Nonsense.
You
that
know?
is terrible.
Yes, they get like little privileges. So to get those privileges, you have to give something. I'm not talking about corruption, but you do have to invest above what the market locally is able to do. For example, when we were about to create those hubs, I was telling them that if you need a hub, you really have to really get your own house so that you can put those solar panels on top. You have to really not depend on a landlord who is going to limit how you can put your infrastructure. If you want to put a dish, you do have to get the whole building instead of renting a room, which will not give you the rights to modify anything. So those things allow you to spend more, but it's worth it. And in terms of resources, the resources are changing quite quickly. If you were to go to Ethiopia in 2005, and you go to Ethiopia in 2020, Cardano is there not for, it's because of the whole infrastructure they were able to set up in 10 years. In Congo, I left a city which didn't have enough electricity. 5 years ago, now we are in surplus. We can put little industries. Before, I had this machine which was, you know, with this oil pressing machine, it uses power, we call them triphasé. We usually have to get 3 lines for the machine to work. But when I left, the machine was working 24/7, and it had been there for 6 years without even being used. So the power in terms of electricity, we're in a surplus. Internet, we are still very far away. We are still into the 2 megabytes per second if you are lucky. But this Starlink, for example, which is when I registered the school, they were telling me they're coming in January 2020. So if you have something like Starlink in a school in January 2020, you may have a stake pool in that school. So within 2 years, things may change very fast.
I have a lot of hope that they will. And in fact, before even encountering Cardano, I knew that the potential for growth there was higher than here because of the fact that the lack of infrastructure. You don't have to go, like, say if you're going to build a robotic autopilot road or something like that, you can't do it here without removing roads. There's more open space, and it's not as built up, and has more potential. Doesn't have the existing structure in its way, basically, is what I'm saying. It's unfortunate, but it is
what I can say to
opportunity.
encourage you guys and all of us is that those countries without infrastructure, for example, the government, they are kind of banning Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies. But frankly speaking, I was dealing with the little section of the central bank in the city of Goma. They're not actually banning them. They just don't understand what it is. They're just telling investors to be careful. So when I was telling them that we're going to use cryptocurrencies in the financial institution, they told me, do it. If it works, it works. If it brings problems, then you'll be responsible. So they're not banning it. Actually, they're not even aware of what it could do. And the people who are facing a lot of inflation of our currencies, local currencies, they will always jump into it just for a little portion of their wealth, even a little bit. They will always feel like they need to do it. They will still invest in cryptocurrencies, even though they may not understand it fully. But once the children use it, parents, even though they have no idea, the same way they use the internet, sometimes parents can ask their children to go and send them emails for them, but they still participate. So I'm sure cryptocurrency will be the same. The older generation will possibly ask other people to intervene for them, but overall, everybody will end up joining.
Is that in the cities?
Sorry?
Are you speaking of in the cities or everywhere?
Mostly in the cities, because in the rural areas, they are not even to the point of getting electricity yet. But the cities are quite big. Like in Africa, the cities are kind of facing rural, comment dire, exode rural, rural exodus, where they basically have more people than they should have. So if there is the city will usually absorb quite a lot of people. Yeah. Like Kinshasa has like 8 million people.
Do people in the rural areas come to the cities frequently?
Yes, they do. Mostly those who attend schools and the traders as well. Usually the roads in Congo are not as good, but I know in a place like in Kenya, people who have houses in the cities, they also have the house in the rural area, which they call some kind of rural home. You have to basically have your house back home. So the interconnection between rural and city in such a country is pretty much a matter of 1 hour, 2 hours drive. It's not very, very hard to go to the rural area. Whereas in Congo, it may take you a week to even cover 20 miles. So it's a different place.
Yeah, so
jump a bit quickly.
yeah,
I have a little commitment. I'll have to leave, but I may join you back shortly. I'll just go to see the kids what they're doing.
Thanks.
Thank you for
Thanks
sharing,
so
man.
much,
Thanks,
Shanti. Yeah,
Thank you.
that was good. Okay, James, do you want to offer any insights in terms of you do, you as a person and Gimbal Labs as an entity do form part of the WADA story. So give us some insights. Maybe I'll learn something new as well.
Oh, wait, James, where's the sound, buddy? While James is working through some technical difficulties, maybe I'll
Carry
jump in
on.
here a little bit. What gets me so excited about WADA, and Drake, you were kind of alluding to it, right? Is just the massive opportunities for growth, and it's part of the Cardano vision, right? I know that I've heard from so many people that Charles's TED Talk back in 2016, laying out this vision of being able to provide financial services to the underbanked, the underdocumented. And to me, WADA is really the main group who's executing on that strategy. There are plenty of people thinking about the opportunities in Africa, but in terms of people actually being on the ground and actually doing the work and having connections with this community, that's where I see so much power in what WADA is doing. Is again, they're the ones really on the ground executing on this strategy. And for me, what it really boils down to a lot of what they do, it's removing barriers and it's creating tools that allow people to lift themselves up. You know, like some of the examples that Janti was sharing. And I think it also, you know, as we were talking about some of the things like the connectivity and electricity and internet, you know, if there's no kind of specific questions, Mercy, that might be a great transition to have you share a little bit about the hubs, because I think that's a very critical piece of the whole WADA strategy to enable a lot of these things start to remove some of those barriers. So if Mercy want to say a little bit about the hubs proposal in Fund 5 and how that relates to some of the discussion we've been having.
Okay. Should I give James a minute, or
Yeah,
are
James,
you
back
back
with us?
Hey, is this working?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just saying, Mercy, I wasn't really prepared for this. I was just so excited to listen today. But I will say one thing about watching the pipeline from Gimbal Labs to WADA and in both directions. It's going to start flowing. What's his name? Janti? I haven't met him before. Am I saying it right?
Janti. Yeah, that's it.
Janti. Okay.
Yeah.
I loved his big picture view that we can bring in new wealth via the blockchain space, but also this idea of the connection of crowdfunding to that, right? Peer-to-peer, whatever it's going to take. We all know this is the pathway, figuring out, and it's probably going to take several different models. But just kind of organically, one of the projects that the founding team of Gimbal Labs doesn't really have that much to do with, and that is really starting to gain momentum, is around just a simple app that would match people who have needs with people who can meet those needs, right? And the way we're starting that is by trying to build an implementation that's for farmers only, that kind of takes this idea of saying, yep, it's a really good idea to pay farmers in advance for food later. That's everybody benefits from that model. So we're going to be trying that out. And like a lot of the stuff we're working on, there's such an exciting opportunity to pass that along and to have the WADA network testing these ideas, seeing what it's like to put these things in people's hands. So Mercy, it's fun to give you that update in this shared group right here. Everybody else, Mercy and I met in Fund 1 when there was no money at all involved in this. And you're a soulmate to me, and I really appreciate the chance to meet you. So if you have any questions, happy to catch up on that.
Awesome thoughts, guys.
Awesome. That's super inspiring.
Yeah, okay. No, sorry, Nori, you go ahead, and then I do what Mike says.
I was just reflecting on what Drake mentioned earlier, is Africa has a chance to leapfrog some of the infrastructure, because when you build out infrastructure, you build in this assumption that's going to be paid off over 50 years or some immense time frame. So like the North America invested in copper, and it took a long time to roll out cellular and replace it, where a lot of Africa didn't have it, and they were able to go straight to cellular and leapfrog all this ancient infrastructure that slows you down. And I think there's a lot of opportunity where, especially in the areas where there isn't existing infrastructure around some of these new things, for Africa to develop the new way, like you said, the fourth industrial revolution, and put it into place way before other countries can, because there's so many old existing institutions that are going to hold on to their power as tightly as they can. And it's going to be really hard to figure out how we move forward in a lot of these things unless we have shining examples of things that are working well. And I think that's a huge opportunity for Africa to bring back to the rest of the world, is saying this is how it can work. This is how, because you don't have a lot of those same barriers or inertia happening to slow it down as much.
The meek shall inherit the earth.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again, Drake.
The meek shall inherit the earth. The
It's a
poorest
Bible quote.
area is going to become the strongest area.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, like sometimes, and I'm going to get, you know, like the way I get, right? Like, you know, sometimes we just, you know, like in our conversations with in WADA, sort of our interactions, sort of the people joining us and all that. And then we just realize that, you know, like this thing is so much bigger than any of us. You know, like even Cardano, you know, this time that, you know, it's built, it's almost like it's built for this time, you know, and all the things, sort of even the pivoting to Africa and, you know, the opportunities in Africa and sort of the, should I say, the awakening, you know, it just feels like it's meant to be, right? And it's just all this potential that we are seeing, and sometimes it's just like it doesn't seem like there's enough hours in the day to do everything that we need to do. So it's you know, it's just amazing. It's just amazing in terms of you know, for people like us, what we can achieve, you know, when we, you know, we focus and we start to do things. So that's what drives us every day. I can quickly jump into, okay, so in terms of the hubs, so as I said, Megan and Manfo is right now in Cameroon. They are setting up the Cameroon hub. They're very hard at work. Manfo is actually not here because he's on a farm somewhere in Cameroon, so he hasn't got internet. But basically what we are trying to do, you know, like really ambitious dreams that everybody brings, but there's this whole agric IT sort of merger that we're looking to do, like in Cameroon. So that's what they're going to specialize in. You know, like when we get to Ghana, where I was born, Philip, I realized I didn't answer your question there. So that's where I was born, that's where I grew up, and I finally found my place, you know, I'm in Canada now, but I'm looking, I'm actually going for a test drive in July, August, and I bring many stories, looking to relocate soon. But in Ghana, you know, like Ghana seems to be some kind of a sub-regional leader in terms of a lot of the big organizations tend to congregate in Ghana, in Accra. So we're looking, and already, you know, we've started making those connections, and, you know, sort of how do we, you know, slowly sort of move into you know, sort of into government influence, side by side, actually doing this from a grassroots level. We also have some connections in academics, and that's also something that we're trying to take advantage of. In Ivory Coast, we have a really resourceful person that is actually coming out right now. Just last week, he had you know, interaction, teaching, got them to open Roy wallets, gave them each five ADA. They are all delegated, and, you know, like, it's exciting. But we're seeing that Ivory Coast is going to be another strong academic hub for us. And then for Senegal, it's a very creative country. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we have these hub, you know, like these centers of excellence, more or less. And then as time goes on, we will share, you know, like the standards that John T was talking about. So yeah, and that's how we're seeing things going. We're doing this both with WADA's own proposals as well as with partners, and it's a long, convoluted story that I could keep going on, but I think I'll stop here, and we'll keep having these conversations, I hope.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and Mercy, I love hearing about how, there's a plan to leverage the natural and local expertise rather than saying this is a WADA model that we're going to apply everywhere. Rather, it's no, how can we take advantage of, this country has the natural resources, the talent, the people to be really excellent here. And this one has, the resources and people to be really excellent here. And then leveraging those network effects to be collaborative across those different spaces instead of, trying to make everybody good at everything or, again, trying to be top down. It's a very bottoms up approach where we're just accentuating and lifting up the natural talents that are already there. And I think it's such a powerful recipe for success and something that can be duplicated in other places, and WADA being that exemplar, that model for kind of paving the way and being that proof of concept.
This is the start of the pay it forward, baby. Everywhere throughout Earth.
Oh, geez, I just came from the other circle, and it feels like we're in the same exact conversation.
Wow.
Synchronicity.
That's the best deja vu you can get.
This is from the Fund 6 Improvement Circle.
Okay, so I know that has been a tough Saturday for some of us here. I'm looking at Mike.
Agreed.
Is there any other pressing questions? Otherwise, we will. We are not finishing this. We're just adjourning for next time.
No, ma'am. And I just wanted to say something to you, Mercy, that I've never been able to tell you before. That Mercy was my teacher spirit's name. It's very fond to me.
Nice. Nice to hear. Yeah.
Thank you very much for all the info.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
And
once again.
yeah, thanks. And Dallas, if there's anything more that you need, just let me know. We are really keen to sort of put ourselves out there, especially with Fund 4 and Fund 5 voting coming out. So just let me know, please.
Yeah, I might get email contacts. Maybe Mike, if you could hook me up with emails or something.
Yeah, I'll shoot info your way. I think, not only the WADA kind of umbrella proposal, but, the network of proposers also. I know you're always on the hunt for kind of, who's doing cool work in Cardano. So yeah, we could definitely share some names, send them your way.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks everyone. So are we going to go to the other room or what's the plan, Mike?
Plan.
Mercy. What's the plan, Mike? Mike? Tell us what's going on, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I assume there's probably, so I think if folks want to drop here, it looks like this is kind of the conclusion of the official WADA content. If people want to kind of go back into the main room, probably going to be a conversation on just overall feedback. How can we continue to optimize and improve Swarm? But I'd also invite people, if anyone wants to hang around in this room and keep riffing on, the opportunities in Africa, leapfrogging infrastructure, and want to kind of continue that.
Taking the world by storm.
Exactly. If you want to keep talking about taking the world by storm, I invite you to keep hanging around in here. If you want to have that more general conversation, hop back in the general room. Or if you want to peace out and enjoy the rest of your Saturday, by all means, do that. But I think that's the three paths here. But yeah, thanks so much, everyone.
Peace. See y'all soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.